Hey guys, Corey Nielsen here of Corey Nielsen Fitness. I'm doing a video today for you talking about how glutes are the new six-pack. Okay, and they seriously are. If you look at a lot of social media and what's going on in the world, it's like the glutes are becoming the muscle that is desired a lot more than the six-pack nowadays. So what I'm going to be giving you is 7 exercises that are going to teach you how to build up your glute strength, make it look better and more fuller. That way you're walking around with, just better looking overall glute and aesthetics. So the first exercise, well, let me take a step back. The first thing I want to talk about is how the glute works. Anatomically speaking, the way it works on your body. So if we look at hip abduction, okay, the one thing that the glute does is it does this motion. So that's one way that the glute works. The second way that the glute works is going to be a hip external rotation. So this motion here, as I turn my foot out, that's going to be the second way that the hip works. The third one is going to be hip extension, and the most common way you guys are going to know this is like a squat. So when I squat, not coming down, but actually coming up, when I follow through here, that hip extension. So all the way down as I come down, that's not going to be much of the glute. It's that upward motion as I come up and follow all the way through. That's going to be a glute. So we can do a lot of different exercises to play with different ways that the glute works, so that we challenge it in a lot of different ways, so that it keeps building and growing for you and you don't hit plateaus with it. The first exercise I want to go over is going to be a box squat. So a single leg box squat. Now when you go single leg, it also requires the glute to work a lot harder than something with both legs together. So if I do a squat and I have weight, right, that's good. It's a really good exercise for the glute, but I can also switch it up and go like a single leg squat, and now I don't even need any weight and my glute is being challenged a lot. So what I'm looking for here is I'm gonna line up, I've got this box behind me, I'm gonna put one foot forward, and I'm gonna go ahead and just as slow as I can, squat down, take a seat, and then come back up. Okay, now I want to stay on one leg when I do this. I can use the heel on the other leg to help me out if I need it. What you're looking for though is, one, we don't want the knee to drive in on you. Okay, so don't come down, let that knee be caving in on you. That's asking for problems with that knee joint. 2, you want to set up so that as I take a seat, I want to have basically a 90-degree angle here. So I don't know how I can show that. I can go a 90-degree angle like this. So I'm here, 90-degree angle. That way my knee isn't going to be driving over my toe. Okay, I don't want the knee to drive over the toe. I don't want the knee to cave in. That's the 2 big cues with this exercise. And then driving through the heel. So think driving through the heel. With this, you're not going to need any sort of weight. If this is too easy for you, just get a lower bench, okay? Or just don't use the bench at all and just do what's called a pistol squat and get as low as you can. Okay, exercise number 2 is going to be a bridge. So this goes back to the hip extension, okay? Just like the single leg squat, the reason why you're getting a lot of glute is single leg, 1, 2, hip extension. So the bridge is going to be like this. What I'm going to do is lay down here, pushing through my heels. I'm going to drive my hips to the sky, squeeze my butt at the top, make sure I take my core with me, okay? What I mean by that is don't just go up and then go hyperextension. And I feel a lot in my lower back. I shouldn't feel this exercise in my lower back. So everything comes up, I'm squeezing my core, get to the top, squeeze my glutes, come back down. What I can do is I can take a bar like this, and I can go ahead and place it over my waist. Notice how I have that padding there. I highly recommend that padding. You won't be able to go nearly as heavy unless you have the padding. So I'll put it over my waist, and then I'll just bridge it up, okay? I can also switch this up by going single leg. So I put one leg in the air, pushing through the heel, come up, squeeze that glute at the top, and come back down, tap my butt, right back up into it. So that's gonna work a lot of glute. I'm also gonna feel some hamstring in that. I can add weight, like using this barbell. I can also add weight when I do a single leg version as well, if it's not hard enough for me. Exercise number 3 is going to be what's called a hip thrust. So let me move this out of the way. Kick that. So we're gonna do what's called a hip thrust. This is an amazing glute exercise. Most people, you can go way, way, way heavier than you do. It goes back to the hip extension though. That's all that we're trying to get out of this exercise. So it's kind of like a bridge. What I just showed you, it's kind of like a bridge. It's the same idea, except for I'm gonna use a bench. So I place my upper back on that bench, Okay, I'm looking for about a 90-degree angle here, from the hip to knee down to the ankle. From that point, I want to go ahead and just go down with my hips, come up till I'm straight, till I'm neutral, and squeeze my glutes at the top. Notice how I'm going to go ahead and pivot with my upper back. So I pivot everything through so I keep a neutral spine. What you don't want to do is just drop without pivoting through your upper back. Just like the bridge, if you guys feel this exercise in your lower back, you're doing something wrong. We should not feel this exercise in the lower back. This should be almost 100% glute. So if you feel it anywhere else other than your glute, you need to check your form and see what's going on. Let me just go ahead and give you a couple of reps here. So I'm here, put it on my waist, elbows up, they're gonna help me prop my body up. Drive through those heels. Okay, now I'm gonna pivot with that upper back, come down, push through my heels and squeeze my glutes at the top. Okay, make sure you're going nice and slow, control the motion, and just squeeze your glutes up at that top. Okay, so bridge, or excuse me, hip thrust. Now I can also go single leg with the hip thrust, right? You more than likely you don't need weight, but same idea. Here, 1 foot in the air, down, push through that heel, come all the way up. The main difference between the single leg is you'll probably feel a little bit more hamstring in the single leg than you will doing it with both legs with the weight. But hip thrust, I highly, highly, highly recommend you throw into your program and start putting some weight on the bar. Start getting stronger. Okay, exercise number 3, Bulgarian split squat. So once again, this goes back to single leg. Okay, so I'm gonna prop one leg up here on my foot. I got one leg on the ground. I'm gonna drive through this heel, go down low. I'll probably feel a stretch through the quad and push up through the heel. Okay, notice what I'm doing with this knee. I don't want that knee to cave in. I also want that knee to be at a 90-degree angle, just like we talked about. So a straight line from my knee all the way down to my ankle and push up through that heel. If I need to add weight, I can do that. There's a lot of different ways I can add weight. I can either go dumbbells. I can just go dumbbells like so. I can go overhead with 1. I go overhead with 2. I can hold them out in front of me. Okay, a lot of different ways you can play with it. Exercise, what am I at, 5? Is a step up. So step up, single leg, right? Notice how it's single leg. A lot of this stuff is single leg. What I'm going to do is just step up on this box. So push through that heel, come up, balance, and then come back down nice and slow. Okay, same thing with the knee. Make sure that that knee is not caving in on you. Make sure that that knee is not driving over the toe. And then if this exercise is too easy, I can either get a taller box or I can add weight. So I can go hold some dumbbells by my side, I can front load it, I go overhead with it, I can have one here. A lot of different ways you can load it up, but single leg targeting the glute. Next exercise, sumo squat. So we know that hip extension, right? Hip extension works the glute. We also know that abduction works the glute. So if you're doing a squat, and I have my feet straight forward in what we call a neutral stance, I'm not gonna be working as much glute as if I go into what's called a sumo stance. So I go a little bit wider. I turn my toes out to about a 15-degree angle. Don't go too wide with your toes. I wouldn't recommend going over 15 degrees. So I turn them out there. And now when I go down, it's the same thing, right? I just want to push my knees out, sit back on my heels, okay? And push up through those heels. So sumo squat. Now I can load up the weight with the barbell on my back. I can load it up front loaded. I could go like a goblet squat. I could grab a kettlebell, goblet that. All I'm trying to do is load it up and make a sumo stance. So that's going to require my glutes to activate more than if I'm in a neutral or a more narrow stance. And then the last one is going to be a standing band abduction. So remember, the glute goes like this, so we might as well work that motion of it. Take you over here. I put that band around my ankle. Okay, make sure I grip here for a little bit of balance. And then keeping my foot straight forward, I'm just going to go directly out, come back in. Okay, controlling the whole motion here. And this is gonna be a higher rep exercise, so you're probably gonna be doing 15, 20, maybe even 30 reps. But I'm gonna feel this a ton on the leg that's planted. Less on this side, more on the leg that's planted. So you just rep it out. Make sure you keep that foot straight forward, and we're just going straight out from that hip. Okay, that's your standing band abduction. So 3 things I want you guys to remember. Single leg exercises. Okay, do as much single leg as you can if you're wanting to build your glute. Really, really important. The other thing is going to be that hip extension. So like a squat or like a hip thrust. That hip extension, you need to be working hip extension whether you do it single leg or whether you do it with both legs. And then the last one's going to be abduction, something like that. So you can throw that in, throw those 3 different workouts in, the 7 exercises I taught you, and I hope you guys learned something.